message.
Assalamu alaikum. It's your brother. Man, the next, this is NationTownTV Live. Y'all saw the flyer. Y'all saw the first one, the second one. Now we on that third one. Y'all know what we dealt with. Those of you who are NationTownTV purists, you know what we dealt with the first time around. Y'all know what we dealt with the second time around. Now we dealing with the third time. Hopefully this is the last that we got to deal with this topic. But I gotta say, one thing I gotta give to cancel culture as a whole is that with each so-called cancellation, it brings up a topic that the Aboriginal community, particularly black people, need to be talking about anyway. So that's one thing I'm appreciative, but we're gonna get into it. Stay locked.
I was told to deliver this message.
Assalamu alaikum, family. It's your brother, Landon X, NationTown TV Live. Pardon the audio difficulties. We back on. But this is NationTown TV Live. It's your brother Landon X. And we got a topic, as you can see. We got a topic that we're going to deal with. I'm going to get right into it. And like I said before the commercial break, I really appreciate how cancel culture has brought some issues and some topics to the forefront that we need to talk about anyway. I don't really like the actual ideas behind cancel culture and what it implies, but I do appreciate that. Before we get into it on this particular topic, let's open up in the proper fashion in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad. He is seen as the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians, the Mahdi of the Muslims, much more than that. But those are the two hats that he wore upon his coming. He came 9,000 miles by himself to seek and save which was lost, but there was one in particular, that prototype that he had to put together, that concept, brother, like they say, concept car in Detroit. And it was in Black Bottom, Detroit, right next to the motor industry. That concept car, that concept vehicle that has been running this mighty nation of Islam as the eternal leader of it for 91 years. I'm speaking of none other than the messenger of Allah at minimum, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, that great preacher of freedom, justice, and equality, who is at minimum the messenger of Allah, but in fact, the exalted Christ. All you got to do is check your Holy Quran. All you have to do is check your scriptures. You know, I don't really talk about how the Bible closes out the Old Testament and saying that we send you Elijah after that great and dreadful day, that he'll turn the hearts of the sons back to the fathers and the daughters back to the mothers. What Elijah you think that they're talking about? Well, I don't know who you talking about, but I'm talking about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I would know nothing of these two brilliant individuals, these two divine individuals, if it were not for the leadership, the guidance, and the criterion himself, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet the Nation Town family in the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Y'all know the drill. Hit us up with your questions and comments. This is NationTown TV Live. This is an interactive experience. We want to see your questions and comments, and we will do just like we're doing right here and superimpose it over the screen. Shout out to our sister Tawana. Paint yourself beautiful. Wa alaikum salam, dear sister. And wa alaikum salam, of course, the brother Muslim Muhammad. Yes, sir, dear brother. All praises are due to Allah. And I appreciate y'all looking out for me. My associate producers letting me know we had that audio issue. All praises due to Allah. I see you, Mrs. Phoenix. Wa alaikum salam indeed. Hit us up with your questions and comments. 'Cause this is gonna be a deep one. And you know, by looking at the flyer, it's easy to jump to conclusions. Shout out to our brother Hakeem. He always points out how NationTown TV, we don't always come from the predictable path on things. And that's how you know who's really familiar with NationTown TV and who just, hops around, these rigmarole podcasts. But when you know how we get down to NationTown TV, you know that we really dissect the issue and go deeper than the surface. So a lot of people may have seen this flyer and said, oh man, we're going to go back and forth and up and down about the brother. Well, we're going to talk about Brother Robert Kelly in particular later on. But first and foremost, I want you to look at that subtitle. I want you to look at how it says, The Unforgiven. Because that's what I see. I see with all of these so-called cancel culture casualties, if you will, it's just this very unforgiving and unforgivable uh, 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 tone with the people, which I find so interesting because I thought we were living in the day where everything was free spirited, and everything goes. You can be what you want to be. We live in the hour where you can be. If you were born a man, it don't matter what you got between your legs. You can be a woman. If you were born a woman, you can be a man. You can be a dog. You can be a bat. You can be a superhero. You can be whatever you want to be, as long as you call yourself that. And people are supposed to respect that just off top. You can lay down with whatever and whoever you want to lay down with. And this is the day where people are quick to chastise somebody who even just a little bit coming off as holier than thou or judgmental. That's the favorite one right there. Don't be so judgmental. But for some reason, when cancel culture kicks in, now the judgment is allowed. Now the judgment is free. Now all of a sudden, cancel culture turns the culture into Sharia law. Now we cutting off hands and cutting off heads and all, and setting people on fire. We doing like Winnie Mandela and putting tires around brothers' heads and setting it on fire. I mean, it's like, how do we bounce back and forth from this hippie mentality of anybody can do anything to all of a sudden Adolf Hitler? Just depending. We're gonna dig into that because that's why this is called the Unforgiven, because it's like, why does forgiveness and this drive against being judgmental and holier than thou, why does that seem to stop when it comes to cancel culture? So we're gonna dig into it a little bit. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Wa alaikum salam. Sister Yasiel Joy says they were talking about cancel culture on CVV today. What they said about it doesn't apply across the board. All praises due to Allah. Okay, for real. Wa alaikum salam. Absolutely. Yasiel says, what is the white society objective really concerned in cancel culture? That's a good question. Good question. We might tap into that a little bit. Hit us up with your questions and comments. But let me first let you know that the only reason you're able to see my big head and the only reason we can keep the lights on NationTown TV is because NationTown TV is, of course, brought to you by NationTownStore.com, your NationTownStore.com. Thank you to all of those who have hit us up and have supported us. Like I said, 2020 and 2021 have been our most successful years in all praises due to Allah. Definitely hit us up on NationTownStore.com. Show us some love on there. We still got your oils. We still got your lotions. We still got your pies. We still got a lot of stuff for you. We got while supplies last, we still have free black-owned paper products. We're talking about paper towels and toilet paper. You better hit us up for that Freedom Paper Company products, which is free with any Nation Town order. Hit us up on that, and also hit us up $Nation Town on Cash App. Y'all know the drill. Show us some love. Just show us some love, whether it's a penny or a rack. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's in your mind, whatever's in your soul, whatever's in your pocket, feel free to hit us up, NationTown TV. But keep in mind that when you do contribute to NationTown on Cash App, $NationTown, no TV on the end, just $NationTown. The proceeds go to a portion of it goes to our beloved Yes Ma'am program, a meal and a message where we provide just that to our people in the community. Make sure that you support this program as we continue to launch it, continue to get it off the ground, where we feed our people with the same types of food, mental and physical, that we are blessed to uh, uh, to take in on a daily basis. All praises are due to Allah. But again, shout out to the NationTown TV family, all the supporters at NationTownStore.com. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not a subscriber to NationTown TV on YouTube, Facebook, and the gram, like I say, you losing in life. Make sure you show us some love on those three platforms, or any platform you find us on. You never know where you're going to see us next, but let's get into it. Cancel Culture Part 3. The does that even mean? The unforgiven. Well, I just pointed it out. For some reason, with cancel culture, it's like the boogeyman. When he come around, he like Debo. When he come around, all defenses and calls for this free, willing, non-judgmental society go out the window. All of a sudden, he comes like the Fuhrer, Adolf Hitler. But I gotta say this before we go any further. Y'all know how we do at NationTown Store or NationTown TV. Warning. I gotta give you this disclaimer for legal purposes. Warning. Feelings may be caught. Negro discretion is advised. This is not for my Asiatic brothers and sisters, my black brothers and sisters, my Aboriginal family. That warning is not for you. These are for the Negroes who get into their feelings, who are controlled by their emotions, who claim this and claim that, but as soon as they get emotional, they lose all control of their mind and their spirit and their thumbs on their those Twitter fingers on their phone. Negro discretion is advised. We're gonna get into this, and I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna hurt some feelings. It's going to irritate some demons, but that's all right. We gotta get that. We gotta get that work in. All praises due to Allah. But let's jump right into it, dear family. Again, shout out to everybody chiming in. Hit us up with your questions and comments. But let's dig into it. Like I was saying, I find it so interesting that this is 2021. This is where, I was just reading an article where a white football coach, he got caught on video with some little white girl twerking on him. And I'm like, wow, man. And I thought to myself, if that same football coach set up a press conference tomorrow and announced that he was homosexual, then everybody would applaud him. If he announced that he no longer wanted to be a man, he wanted to be a woman, then by next week they'll be calling him the first female head coach in the NFL, and they'll be applauding him and calling him a hero. Even if he went to a all male strip club the next night and did the same thing, they would say how strong and how fearless he is to be a football coach in a all male strip club. So I'm just thinking, if that's the world we living in, then why is it on certain topics, selective issues, there is no room for forgiveness? The word they use is tolerance, which is a terrible word. Tolerance is not a good thing. If somebody imagine if your spouse or just somebody you thought was your friend told you, I tolerate you. Would you be pleased? Would you be flattered? Oh, thank you so much for tolerate. When you tolerate something, you're dealing with something that you really don't want to deal with, but you just tough it out, you thug it out. But you just know you would rather be doing anything else around anybody else in the world than be around them. That's what tolerance, but that's the word you hear. Tolerance. This is the hour of tolerance. Everybody's supposed to be tolerant. You're supposed to be compassionate. Because certain people have certain feelings and they grew up a certain way and they always felt a certain way and they always, they were born this way and all of this. That born this way seems to only apply to certain people in certain situations. So we're going to dig into that. And, y'all see it. I know y'all see what I see. This is the free love, LGBTQ era where everything's cool. You can be gay, you can dress up like a pink cowboy, with lingerie up under it and all of that, and kiss men on stage and all that kind of stuff. And then you can also say stuff like this and not get in trouble.
I see it all the time. Parents will be like, you have a responsibility because kids are watching you.
I
Raise
don't
your own
really.
kids.
I feel like I used to, but now it's just like, so, like fuck your kids, not like fuck your.
Wow. There's no cancellation from that. There's no cancellation. There's no cancellation. Say that
I see it
again.
all the time. Parents will be like, you have a responsibility because kids are watching you.
I don't
Raise your own
really.
kids.
I feel like I used to, but now it's just like, so, like fuck your kids, not like.
So what you telling me, basically, in society right now, according to Black Twitter, the only two things I could be as a black man and be safe is a homosexual or a victim. because those are the only two things where a black man is pretty much cancel proof. If you already been physically canceled, meaning murdered or beat to a pulp where you can't do anything, or if you sleep with men. That's the only way a black man can avoid cancellation. Because the only two black men that are 100% free of cancellation the last 2 years has been that brother, so-called Lil Nas X, and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. We got to be either dead or gay. Otherwise, we got that cancel culture red dot on our forehead. And I ain't talking about no Indians. I'm talking about that bullseye, if you understand. All praises due to Allah. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving because I really want to dig into this, but I don't want to go too long. I do intend to be strong. But here's my actual issue. Hit us up with your questions and comments. I'm going to get into the comments. Look like we got a few more comments. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But here's my issue. My issue is not that whether or not we forgive these brothers and or sisters. I haven't seen a lot of sisters get canceled. But it's not so much forgiveness, giving it or not giving it. It's this right here. Selective and inconsistent forgiveness. Let me tell you something about your brother, Landon X. I'm big on consistency, man. I respect consistency. I'm not always consistent in my life, but I really look up to consistency. That's what moves me. When I see it's like even if I disagree with what you're doing, but if I know that that's you today, tomorrow, yesterday, next week, next year, while you sleeping, while you woke, fat, skinny, rich or poor, if I know that that's you, then I gotta respect that. I ain't gotta like it. I ain't gotta agree with it. I ain't gotta put up with it, but I gotta respect that. But when I see inconsistency, when I see selectiveness, that's something black people been dealing with for years, right? That's what we hate. Driving while black, jogging while black, eating at a restaurant while black, walking down the street while black, breathing while black. We hate the fact that we don't have equality with the best of society. We can't do the same things everybody else does without it being seen in the same light. But lo and behold, look at us doing the same thing to ourselves, being selective, having little pockets and classes and saying, oh, you can do it over there, but you can't do it over there. See, that's where we wrong. And that's where we get like our enemy. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. All praises are due to Allah. We see you. Shout out to Brother K for real. I like that. I second that motion. Share, like, subscribe, and support family. Absolutely. Please do so. Please do so. Sister Yasiel Joy, peace and blessings to all my beautiful family. All praise is due to Allah. My sister said CNN. That's what I figured. Shout out to RL. 100 indeed, dear brother. All praises due to Allah. Sister Tawana, paint yourself beautiful. Said just being black. Just being black. Just being black. They were afraid for their lives because I walked in the room black. I can have on a three-piece suit tuxedo with a top hat and twirling a cane, and they'll say the cane was an AK-47 and shoot me 47 times. So we always cry about being mistreated and not having the same rights as others. I saw a video on Instagram. Sister was going go to a restaurant with her friends and not be singled out. Of course, an all-white restaurant, all-white expensive restaurant. We always clowning white people about how they cook their food, but we can't keep their food out our mouth. I don't understand that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I find it interesting that we're doing that same thing to ourselves. Now let's keep it moving. Let's go a little bit deeper. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Like I said, we're gonna go a little bit deeper. We're gonna go a little bit deeper. Now here's something to consider. Here's something to consider. When it comes to forgiveness, let's not forget about forgiveness because that's the tone, that's the underlying basis of this video. Is why is forgiveness canceled from cancel culture? Why is forgiveness a no-go? It's okay for everybody else. It's okay for white people. It's okay for certain types of black people. I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But when it comes to cancel culture, so and so did that. What? They did that? Cancel. Don't even, I better not even catch you watching their movies, listen to their music. Where did that energy come from? All of a sudden. That's good energy. That when somebody does something despicable, something evil, something oppressive, that you cut them off completely. I am not against that. But where does it pop up all of a sudden? Well, let's go into it. But we're all guilty of this. But what's funny is that when it comes to forgiveness, there is not a walk of life or a school of thought that does not promote forgiveness, or we have not shown forgiveness in. If you call yourself a Christian, shout out to our Christian viewers. We don't assume or presume that everybody watches NationTown TV is a Muslim. I was raised a Christian. Shout out to my Christian family. We love you. A real Muslim is a Christian anyway, and a real Christian is a Muslim. And it says in your Bible a lot about forgiveness. We seem to overlook that part of the poison book. How much it talks about forgiveness. Yeah, it does condemn a lot of condemnable acts and lifestyles, but it also talks a lot about forgiveness. Check it out. This is Ephesians 4:32. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Also says in your poison book, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Matthew 6:14. That's what's up. That's just forgiveness. That's for my Christian family. Well, what about the Muslims? The book of the Muslims is the Holy Quran. All praise is due to Allah. This is perfect theology. And I mean the word perfect by the actual definition of perfect. I don't mean perfect just to be a cheerleader for Islam. It's perfect because it's not tampered with, like the Bible is. But notice how the Quran is saying the same thing that the Bible is saying. What is the Quran saying? The Holy Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, say, O my servants who have been prodigal regarding their souls. Prodigal means you've been astray. Despair not of the mercy of Allah. Surely Allah forgives sins altogether. Altogether. He is indeed the forgiving, the merciful. As you can see, this is a section that's titled Divine Mercy. What else they say in the Holy Quran? It says, then Adam received and revealed words from his Lord, and he turned to him mercifully. Allah turned to Adam mercifully. Surely he is the oft returning, meaning he's constantly turning to mercy, the merciful. So that's for the Muslims. That's for the Christians. Now you might be like, well, Brother Lennon, I hear you on all that, you know what I mean? But I don't like what dude did. I don't like what he did, and I ain't really into all that. I ain't really all that religious stuff. Anyway, I got something for the non-religious people, because if you watch NationTown TV, you know we don't believe in non-religivism. There's no such thing as a non-religious person. You got a religion. If you break down the etymology of the word, it's re-legare, which means to constantly go back and connect yourself or tie yourself to something. So we all got a religion. What's your religion? Is it what? Politics? Let's go with politics. I know black folks know how to. I know y'all know how to forgive in politics. For my black Republicans, this is a lot of black Republicans sticking their chest out. They think it's a flex to say that I'm black and I'm not a Democrat. Well, you ain't supposed to be either one, so you don't get no extra points for that. But you are very forgiving. This man said more about you than any other president. Now he didn't do worse by you than any other president, but he definitely said some reckless verbiage to the Aboriginal community. Well, for my Democrats, oh, this is a creepy Joe. Creepy Joe. I mean, I don't know, man. Every time he around little children, he just do really weird things. But that ain't even the worst of him. I don't, compared to the worst of him, this don't even really matter unless he's actually doing something sexual to them behind closed doors. He's just a weird dude. But this is what bothers me, and this is what bothers us. Pay attention to the Nation Town Red Arrow. He ran for president and did two things right in the face of black people. He proudly pointed out that he wrote and authored the crime bill, which is one of the worst things to happen to black people as far as legislation is concerned since the Three-Fifths Compromise. And that's a fact. And then he told you that you're not even black unless you vote for him. And you say, yeah, as a boss, I understand. I hope if he don't fail me now, I hope I can vote for you, boss. Yeah, as a boss. And we cry. You had celebrities crying on Instagram and Twitter, so happy that this man became president. And he authored the second worst piece of legislation, arguably the worst. He's the one that called you a super predator. His homegirl was just trying to be like him. Who's his homegirl? Y'all know who his homegirl is. Y'all love her too. Look at that. That's photographic proof that y'all love her. She called your children, called us super predators, but she got it from Joe. She got it from Joe. Where did she get her whole stance from? Why do black people think that she's to trust? Because they in love with her husband. Who's her husband? William Slick Willie Jefferson Click. This man, listen, R. Kelly and Hugh Hefner don't have nothing on this man. He used the White House as a strip club. He turned the White House into his own personal brothel. And before that, it was the governor's mansion in Arkansas. And then he's competing with Bill Cosby for messing with the ugliest, the most ugly white girls. Because he definitely had a type. He definitely had a type. But we forgave him for that. We forgave him for that. We forgave him. We forgave him for turning the Oval Office into a Magic City VIP room, putting stains on dresses. We forgave him for that. Hey, if politics is your God, if you ain't into religion, listen, you still understand forgiveness. You still understand forgiveness. And Bill Clinton couldn't help it. He couldn't help it because his mentor was the same way. His hero, I should say. He grew up looking up to John F. Kennedy. That's Bill. That's Slick Willie to the left. That's JFK to the right. May Allah be pleased with John F. Possible to be a president that fought for black people. There's really no such thing in the annals of American history, but he came the closest. He came the closest. He was not a friend as much as we think he was, but he came the closest. He was the first one to pat us on the head. I give him that much. But look what he was doing. Marilyn Monroe, who some of you sisters got posted on your wall, like not Harriet Tubman, but Marilyn Monroe. Oh, well, you don't care about politics either. You ain't into religion, you ain't into politics. Oh, okay. But let me catch you in the barbershop and see what you're talking about. You talking about sports as if it were religion, as if it were politics. And let's look at the NFL. My team. Oh, that's my squad. That's my team. Where? 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 These are your owners in the NFL. It's the same way in the NBA, except for one, and that's Michael Jordan. He had to be the greatest player in the universe of all time just to be able to buy a basketball team. Most of these crackers you see right here can't pitch a football, baseball, or make a layup. Where? So no matter what your religion is, you always got room for forgiveness. The way they did Colin Kaepernick, you should have swore off the NFL right there, but you forgave them because you loved it, you some football. The way they're doing NBA players right now, telling them, nigga, you better take this shot or you will never take a jump shot ever again in the NBA. That's what they telling your favorite player. And 99% of them are saying, yeah, as a boss. And the ones that are giving up any resistance are being dragged. They being canceled from the NBA. But you still gonna watch. Because you want to know if the Lakers, if they're going to beat Brooklyn, the super team and LeBron. So you know how to forgive. So where does the forgiveness go when it comes time for the cancellation? That's all I'm asking. I'm just saying, what happened to the forgiveness? Why is it so selective? Why is it so inconsistent? That's my question. Well, you say, well, I ain't no Christian, I ain't no Muslim, I don't give a damn about sports, I don't give a damn about politics. Okay, well, I know something that I know for a fact you do, because it's just a part of human American life living in a capitalist society. In order to have a somewhat comfortable life, you got to go buy stuff, don't you? You got to buy stuff. You got personal care items that you got to buy. You got to have soap. You got to have lotion. You got to go get some toilet paper. You got to go do this. Got to go do that. Got to send your children to school. You got to live somewhere. If you want to have a semi-comfortable life, you got to do these things. But for some reason, we tend to do all of those things, even when there's a black option available. We can't stop ourselves for 98% of the time doing it with our open enemy, our former slave master, oppressor, rapist, liar, terrorist, murderer, the original, what they call it. They always talk about calling some woman or man a home wrecker, the original home wrecker. Snatched you from your mama and your father and put you on the trading block. But you spend 98% of your money with him. Happily, you brag about it. You can't wait to tell somebody how much money you spent and how much money you put in that cracker's pocket. So I know you understand forgiveness because you forgave him. We talking about forgiveness. We ain't going back and forth about the ins and outs. Because listen, whether it's Bill Cosby, whether it's the baby, well, we kind of saw what the baby did, but or R. Kelly. And yeah, R. Kelly had a video. From what I heard, he had a couple of videos. you know, but we weren't there. We don't know what the level of consent was. And I'm not even here to say that if he's guilty of just a percentage, just a fraction of what he's accused of, he deserves to spend every second that he was given on his sentence. I say throw a little bit more on there. And because of his charges, he gonna have hell in that prison system because of the nature of his charges. So I'm not here to be his judge. He already had his judge. And the greatest judge of them all is looking out as well. That's not what I'm talking about. But where is the forgiveness? I thought this was the free spirited world. I thought this was all about what you want to do, who you want to do, when you want to do it. What happened to the forgiveness? Everybody is allowed to be holier than thou when it's time for cancel culture. That's my point. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Brother RL said Jim Crow joke. All praises due to Allah. Sister Shauna says because they play the black national anthem now. Symbolism over substance. Wow. Okay, for real, class in session in a real way. RL, guilty as charged. Wow, alaikum salam, Brother Hakeem. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. Sister Yasiel Joy said, wow, that is crazy. Our black men definitely been canceled in this society. But what Allah has in store for the black man is God will be worth enduring the madness. I know that's right. All praises are due to Allah. And of course, shout out to our dear sister, Mrs. Phoenix 91. All praises due to Allah for your support on $NationTown on Cash App. All praises due to Allah. That sister is always showing us love, man. Putting her paper where her heart is, man. I appreciate that. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. Now, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Because what we're dealing with, like I said, is all these forms of forgiveness that we always tend to give out. We're taught to give it in our religion. And then our other religions, our non-theological religions, where God ain't really involved at all. Sports, politics, economics, we always show forgiveness. There have been stories of businesses and business owners coming out and flat out saying, you know what, I don't really want niggas buying my products. And we'll still buy them. You'll see a Facebook video, an Instagram video, somebody getting ran out of a restaurant. Nigga, get out my restaurant. And we just cry and say, oh, we should be. I saw a video with a rapper. I forgot the brother's name. But he was getting followed around a Gucci store, Louis Vuitton, one of them European homosexual name brands, so-called name brands. And he was getting mistreated in their boutique store. So in order to show them that he meant business, he spent like $30,000 in there in that day. See, that's the ultimate form of forgiveness. Not only have they historically treated you like trash, but they treated you like trash live and in living color right there, and you put an extra $30,000 in their pocket. So we know how to forgive. Don't tell me we don't know how to forgive. Now let's keep it going, because it's more to that. Because I mentioned Islam, and one thing that's interesting about Islam is a couple of things, couple of major differences, and this is particularly for my brothers and sisters that are watching or will watch that are not Muslims and not really very knowledgeable of Islam and the differences between it and, say, Christianity or other religions. Two major differences when it comes to the Bible and Quran. For example, in the Bible, it talks about hell, and it describes hell as a permanent abode where you just burn it in hot fire up under the ground forever. It don't actually say up under the ground. That's something that was added to it. But hell is just this torturous place that you go to forever. And Quran and hell is not a permanent abode. There's an angel named Malik who basically holds the key to the gates of hell, and he can pull you out or put you in. And that's what life is like. That's how you know hell is not a place you go after you die. It's a condition of life. You can be in a hellish situation. Everybody that's watching this can bear me witness. If you over shit, pardon my English, if you over 16 years old and you black and you aboriginal in America, you've had hellish experiences in these hells of North America. And then things have gotten better. And then you went right back into hellish situations. Many of those situations, if you were honest about it and thought about it, you put yourself in those situations. You put yourself in. You didn't help the situation. So hell in the Quran is something that is not a permanent abode. It's not permanent. You can go in, you can go out, depending on your activity. There's another big difference, because in the Holy Quran, it makes it clear that there is one particular sin that is 100% unforgivable. And there's an ayat in the Holy Quran that I'm going to read right now. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is Surah 4, ayat 48. Where it says, indeed, Allah does not forgive associating others with Him in worship. This means any God beside God, God beside Allah, but forgives anything else of whoever He wills. He forgives anything else, but don't put a God beside Him. And whoever associates others with Allah has indeed committed a grave sin. Now, this is something that unknowledgeable, ridiculous minded, envious minded people try to charge the Nation of Islam with. It's called shirk. Creating partners with God, saying is Allah right here and then it's that guy, and they both the same. Actually, that's only really found in, I just read a scripture from the Bible that says Christ God. But that's what's done in Christianity, but we don't do that in the Nation of Islam. We tell you that Allah God appeared in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the same way the same way that God appeared in the person of the angel Jabril to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, on the night of power in four different, not one, not two, not three, but four different directions. And that kicked off the revelation of the Holy Quran to the Holy Prophet. But have you ever heard a Muslim call Prophet Muhammad the messenger of Jibril? But is there an hadith or even a ayah in the Quran that says that Allah himself came to Prophet Muhammad? He just walked in and said, "Hey man, I'm God. What's up?" No, he came in the person of Jibril. When the Holy Quran says it was not you that slew them, but it was I that slew them. God talking with your arm. I slew them. Don't get cocky. You didn't put it down. I put it down with your arm. When God says that in the Holy Quran, what is he talking about? He's talking about point number 12. He's talking about the science behind point number 12. So we get accused of that, but that is really a thing, though. Shirk is a thing. One of the funniest and ironic examples of shirk is, for example, letting the president of the United States come to a Muslim country and you roll out the red carpet for him. And you let his influence the things that your Muslim country does. You do it because you're afraid of what Great Britain is going to do, the infidel. What America is going to do, the infidel. Shout out to Iran. They're one of the only nations in the so-called Middle East that has testicular fortitude, divine testicular fortitude to say, no, we go by Allah's will, not by what America wants, the UN wants, or what Great Britain wants. If y'all in line with Allah, then cool, we with you. If you're not, y'all can miss me. They're the only country that follow that, but the Holy Quran says that every Muslim should operate that way. But that's neither here nor there. But what's really interesting about that unforgivable sin of shirk, of putting partners next to Allah, is that that's actually what many of us are absolutely guilty of when we get too deep into idol worship with celebrities. I'm going to say that again. It's shirkish to put so much focus on these celebrities. There's nothing wrong with having a favorite actor. There's nothing wrong with having a favorite basketball player. There's nothing wrong with having a favorite comedian. But when you see, I'm gonna tell you to pay attention to something. Whether you see it in others or in yourself. We're gonna have a little bit of self-improvement class real quick. When you catch yourself or others saying stuff like, we say it out of envy. Oftentimes we say it out of ignorance, but we say it. When you catch yourself or others saying, well, yeah, I'm happy for so and so the rapper, so and so the athlete, so and so the actor, so and so whatever celebrity, but they ain't doing nothing for the hood. They got all that money, they ain't built no schools. They got all that money, they ain't did this. And yeah, that's true, but like Malcolm said, we're the only people that look to buffoons and entertainers and athletes to be our leaders. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because many of us are guilty of shirk or have been guilty of shirk at some point in our life. Where you think that whoever you see on your television or your timeline, that they're so divine that if anybody gonna save us, it gotta be them. It gotta be them. I can't save myself. It gotta be a dude that play 82 basketball games a year, that plays a child's game for a living. It gotta be somebody that sing booty songs and rap about killing other black men. He's the only one that can save us. This is how we sound because we're guilty of shirk. We celebrate these people so much that when they finally fall or when they're knocked down, you look at them as if they're a fallen idol. It's like it's like in the Holy Quran when Abraham was knocking over those idols. When they saw those idols get knocked over, and then Abraham said, well, if you want to know who did it, just ask the big idol. See, and they boiled him in oil. Boiled him in oil. You want to know why they were so mad? They were mad because their idols had fallen. Bill Cosby, surrounded by white girls. And we didn't condemn him for it. We celebrated him for it. And then he did things like the Cosby Show. And listen, that was a wonderful show, well written, funny. But some of us took the Cosby Show to a whole nother level in our own minds. The Nation of Islam has been promising luxury, money, good homes, friendship, and all walks of life as long as you follow Master Muhammad and his messengers for almost 100 years. But you didn't start really craving luxury, money, good homes, friendship, and all walks of life until you saw the Cosby Show. You wanted to live in a brownstone in Brooklyn or Philadelphia or whatever. You wanted to be a doctor and marry a lawyer, or a lawyer and marry a doctor, and have all these perfect children, and nothing bad ever happens, and everybody's just cracking jokes and sitting around and being funny all day. That's okay. It was a very positive image for black people. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But when you lean too heavily on it, where it becomes a God beside God, and then when that God is knocked down in front of you and you lose your mind, that's because you were getting kind of shirkish. You were getting kind of shirkish on the shirt. But that was the topic, or the front man for the first part, for part one. Part two, the baby. Look at him. Look at the crowd. All races, all these black people, all the same black women and black people and white people that turned on him. This is shirk. This is the unforgivable sin. It ain't nothing wrong with loving hip hop and celebrating our top artists. But come on, man. Come on, man. And it's the same thing with R. Kelly. It's the same thing with R. Kelly. I remember R. Kelly. I saw footage of him where he stepped out on stage and he stood in the front of the stage, and a woman just started undressing him. A woman out the crowd just started undressing him, and then here's a fairly recent footage of about 3 years ago. When the sister just reached up and just started wiping the sweat off his brow, and she don't know nothing about this man. And he get to licking the towel and all of that. See, that's shirkish. It's like, wow. I wonder if she does that for her man, her husband, or ever did that for a man. But we put these celebrities on this pedestal that when they get knocked down, we lose our minds. Shout out to everybody chiming in. We see you. We see you. All praises due to Allah. Shout out to Lil Dexter Vincent. Thank you. All praises due to Allah for that Cash App donation. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah indeed. Wa alaikum salam, dear brother Hakeem. Stay safe on those roads, dear brother. We won't be on long. We're about to actually close out in a minute. But let me go a little bit further. A little bit further. Again, viewer discretion, Negro expression, discretion is advised. But again, I got to point this out. It's selective and inconsistent forgiveness that I take issue with. Selective and inconsistent forgiveness. They say R. Kelly committed a crime. He was convicted of it. They say the baby. And if you remember the previous episodes of this, it wasn't the one that you saw Bill Cosby on the flyer. It wasn't a topic about Bill Cosby. It was dealing with something that was brought up because of the Bill Cosby situation. Same thing with the baby. We talked about the gay agenda. And now we're talking about forgiveness. But they say R. Kelly committed a crime and now he's been convicted and sent. And I don't know if he's been sentenced yet. Same thing with Bill Cosby was overturned because they didn't follow the law. They didn't follow the law. The baby done lost millions of dollars, getting kicked off the tour slates and whatnot. Okay. But we gotta be consistent. Where's the consistency in situations that are equally or even more heinous? Come on, talk to your brother. Talk to your little brother for a minute. Walk with me. This is a murderer that she's hugging. No, 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 no. Legally, that is a murderer. I would have digested this image better if it took place before the trial. That still would have been a grave, in my legal opinion, a grave, grave, grave issue of morality. And as far as what they call, the name slips me right now, but this would have went better for me had it happened before the actual verdict. But she hugged this woman. She was just convicted of murdering an innocent black man, intelligent black man, murdering him, and then lied about it. Said, "Oh well, I thought he was an intruder." Turns out they were messing around with each other, and lied about it. Y'all know how it was growing up. If your mama was anything like mine, may Allah be pleased, you got it worse for lying, right? But she got the hug. Then his biological brother, I mean, he hugs her like he was messing around with her. I don't know. But that ain't even the worst. What was most sickening is what happened before both of these. The bailiff. She came and started straightening her hair and playing with her hair and consoling her. This is a murderer. I've been around bailiffs, and I'm gonna tell you something. As a black man, I just have to be honest, and this is no disrespect to any. If the shoe don't fit, then you know what I mean. Then you acquit it. If it don't apply, let it fly. But as a black man, there's two types of police officers you don't want to get pulled over by. You don't want to get pulled over by, well, three types. You don't want to get pulled over by a rookie. You don't want to be pulled over by a black officer who is with a white officer. And you don't want to be pulled over by any female officer, especially a black female officer. Now, some cool black female officers out there. Shout out to y'all. May Allah multiply y'all. But I've been around some of these officers. I've been pulled over by some of them, and I even spent a interesting day in the county jail system, and I noticed how stern and tough and hard and almost evil sometimes the black female correction officers and officers were, particularly toward black men. And some of them I know were probably raising black men at home. But look at this sister just stroking her hair. If you seen the video, she just playing with her hair like she's a little baby doll. But see, that's where it started. She grew up playing with little white dolls. So she doesn't see a murderer. She doesn't see a slave master's daughter or a slave master's wife who would creep over into the slave quarters to mess around with Mandingo. And then if she got caught, she called out rape. She don't see that. She don't see that at all. What she sees is an innocent little baby doll. So she starts playing with her hair. So we got to be consistent with the forgiveness or lack thereof. May Allah be pleased with our brother, Botham Jean. May Allah be pleased with him. And then situations like this. Read the caption, read the headline. New York Daily News. We forgive you. Hate won't win. And I kind of debated with myself if I was going to show this. But I got to drive home this point because it's an ugly tendency that we have in our community of inconsistent and selective forgiveness. So in order to drive home that point, I don't know if you ever seen it before. And if you have, I'm gonna make you watch it again. I want you to see one of the exact moments where members of the Charleston Church Group victims' family forgave Dylan Roof, this absolute demon, this goddamn devil who walked into a historic black church while they were having Bible study, pretended to join them in the Bible study, and when it was all said and done, and you wonder why the Nation of Islam has security procedures at the door for 91 years, and we don't allow certain types of people in our mosque. They let them right in. They were so proud to have them with him. Saw him on the video, the security camera, and they still let him in, and he walked up in there and murdered 9 of them in cold blood. This was a church that was a civil rights headquarters in the 60s and 70s. And he walked in there, and that's why he went to that church. But I want you to listen as a member of one of the victims, a member of the family of one of the victims, and I want you to listen to this sister in all her pain. Forgive this man. And may Allah be pleased with all 9 of our brothers and sisters. All 9 of our brothers and sisters that died in this. But listen to this, sister.
They are. Will you please stand? You have a right as the representative of the family to make a statement today before we set bond. Would you like to do so, ma'am? Thank you very much. Ethel Lance, would you like to make a statement in regards to this hearing concerning Ethel Lance as a victim, ma'am? Yes. Would you like to come forward, please? You are representing the family of Ethel Lance, is that correct? Yes. And you are whom, ma'am?
The daughter.
The daughter. I'm listening, and you can talk to me.
I just want everybody to know, to you, I forgive you. You took something very precious away from me. I would never talk to her ever again. I would never be able to hold her again. But I forgive you. And have mercy on your soul. You hurt me. You hurt a lot of people. But God forgive you. And I forgive you.
Thank you, ma'am, and I appreciate you being here.
Now, first, let me say this with all due respect to the families of those victims. You know, I prayed personally for the families of those victims constantly after this news broke back in, I believe it was 2015. But on top of the forgiveness that they all collectively decided that they were going to do, she wasn't the only one. The church, the other church members, the surviving church members, and her all decided that they were going to publicly go to the news and go to the news outlets and proclaim how, and really go out of their way to proclaim. It ain't like the news media was chasing them down and do you forgive or not? Do you forgive or not? They voluntarily put out a statement saying that they forgive. But not only that, as Dr. King said on my favorite Dr. King lecture, it was one of the ones that got him killed, where he was teaching on economics. But anyway, not only that, but after this event, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sent his condolences and also offered his support. And it was suggested from the minister's end that he come to Charleston and show his support and condolences in person. What do you think happened? They rejected him. They said they don't want his element in their city. at this time. I believe we eventually sent our beloved student minister out of Indianapolis, Nuri Muhammad, to go and deliver the condolences of the nation and of the minister. But they made it clear that they didn't want the minister there. They invited Dylan Roof into their church, but they didn't want the minister there. So don't tell me we don't know how to forgive. Don't tell me we don't know how to forgive. So I'm racking my brain. I'm like, what is it? Why is it we're so selective and inconsistent on forgiveness? And let me point something out. I showed you this headline, New York Daily News, but I just want to juxtapose that headline with the Final Call headline. The number one news not controlled by the Jews. That's the difference between heaven and hell right there. We forgive you. Hate won't win. Final Call says pure evil. And he got the same look on his face in each one. But why the inconsistent and selective outrage and forgiveness? And it's easy to just paint a black and white picture. Oh, it's because they're white, and, white supremacy, and they white. Yeah, but not so fast, my friend. As Lee Corso say in college football, not so fast, my friend. Because in our own families, we got Bill Cosby's in our own families. Oh, let's talk. Let's have a fireside chat on NationTownTV. I'm talking about that father in your family that he's hardworking. He especially back in the day. And ain't that many fathers in our community no more, but that he's hardworking, got a good job, takes care of his responsibilities. When he's with his wife, he just seemed like the ideal husband. Bro, opening up doors and everything, all that good stuff. And then, he dies or something happens and we find out he had 3 other families in 3 other zip codes. And he took care of them too. But he had a whole nother family. You find out all your life you thought you had 2 sisters or 2 brothers or 3 aunties or 3 uncles. It turns out you got 17 that grew up in different area codes, different zip codes, different regions. What do you think that old Temptation song was talking about? Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he lay his hat is his home. And when he died, all he left us was alone. Listen, man, this is we got the Bill Cosby's in the family. You can get mad at the baby and say, "Oh, he's ignorant. Oh, he's a gangster rapper. Oh, you don't have the nephew. You don't have the gang banging nephew. When he show up, you like, oh, I hope he don't say nothing at the family gatherings. Oh, I hope he pull up his pants. Oh, I hope he don't pull up playing all that loud music. Come on, man, we got the babies, and don't act like we ain't got no R. Kellys, man. That's something we got to start talking about in our community. This 2021 got to be the end. If we don't learn nothing from these situations, it got to be the end of sweeping stuff like that under the rug, man. Uncle so and so, you bring it up when you get mad at him, when you get mad at that uncle or that cousin or that person in the family. When y'all get into an argument over something petty, over a football game or game of dominoes, then you want to say in front of the whole family how he did this and did that. No, man, we got to deal with that off top. When you ride down the street and you see a prostitute, when you ride down the street and you see a line of brothers going in and out of a brothel or a strip club, where do you think they get the women to do these things? Why would a woman stand on a corner and sell her body all day, or stand on a stage and swing up and down a pole and shake her booty and stuff in front of men and do all of that stuff butt naked? Why do you think a woman would do that? She just woke up one day and just said it? Or we want to blame music? She was a nice little, perfect little girl. And then one day she heard Nicki Minaj and then started twerking. Stop it. She grew up in a household where she had them kind of uncles and cousins and stuff. And then when she even just thought about saying something, she got silenced. She got silenced. So she had to internalize that pain. She started to think that her only worth in this world is when her clothes are off. So now, as a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, whatever, that's what she's doing, degrading herself. We love to point fingers at the effect, but if the cause is inconvenient, we play stupid. We play stupid. So let's not act like, man. Let's get consistent and let's get real with this forgiveness or lack of. If we gonna be hardcore and say, man, we ain't forgiving nobody for nothing, cool. Then start with yourself. Go hard on yourself first, and then let that trickle down to everybody else. Or let's be consistently forgiving and let's give some help to these people. All of them every victimizer is a retired victim. Y'all didn't hear me. Every victimizer, other than the mankind whose nature is evil, we know who that is. He's the only one that can't say that he had a victimizer. But when you see Aboriginal men and women victimizing, they are retired victims. Hurt people hurt people. I ain't making no excuses. This is just reality. All the things that you do that hurt people or that have hurt people, it stems from your experience as a victim of something similar or the exact same thing. These are just facts, man. At what point do we check ourselves into a hospital of sorts? As I call the Nation of Islam, I call it a hospital. It ain't no haven for the holy. We all, oh, you holy? Oh, I'm holy too. Assalamu alaikum. All praises due to Allah. Alhamdulillah. No, it's a hospital. It's a hospital in hell is what it is. It's a hospital in hell. It's a hospital. So at what point do we start checking ourselves in? Instead of just pointing the finger selectively and inconsistently. So I got to thinking, why is it so inconsistent? And why is it so selective? Oh, and as I was pondering, I came up with a pretty good hypothesis. And then I'm gonna prove that theory or that hypothesis using our brother Robert Kelly. The reason why we're so selective and we're so inconsistent with forgiveness or lack thereof, and this is where it comes back to the enemy. Our outrage and or forgiveness is contingent upon masses' permission. Listen, man, I believe in forgiveness. I do. Because I thank Allah that God and his messengers forgive me. Oh, my God. I'm a proponent of forgiveness. But I'm a fan of, and I believe in forgiveness based on principle, not peckerwood approval. Do you understand? Let me say that again. I support forgiveness based on principle and not peckerwood approval. You're mad at certain people and canceling certain people simply because Massa told you that it was okay to do it. He said, nigga, go get that nigga. Slave catcher mentality. Nigga, go get that nigga. Sick him. Yazza balls, oh, feet don't fail me now. Master approval. Let me prove it with receipts and actual facts. Let me show. Because do you notice? Because a sister brought up something I saw on a tweet. I'm not actually on Twitter, but I saw a tweet on another website. But a sister brought up a good point that she didn't even really know. She was condemning R. Kelly, but here's what was her point. She said, R. Kelly, he got a warning shot at his first trial a decade ago, a decade or more ago. That was like the early 2000s, because remember the Boondocks did a joke about it. He got a warning shot then, and he didn't learn his lesson. So he deserves what's coming, and I don't disagree with that. But why didn't we turn on him that first time around? We all act like we loved Aaliyah after she died. Why didn't we turn on him when we found out what he allegedly did with her? Why didn't we turn on him? Because we didn't have Peckerwood permission. And let me show you why we didn't have permission. We didn't have authorization. You know, in corporate structure, you got to get authorization when you do things that are outside of your pay grade. So that's what we have to do. We have to go, Master, can I be mad at my brother? Can I be mad at that nigga? No, not yet. Oh, okay, yes. There's a scripture where the devil or several devils get mad at Jesus because he casted those devils out. And when they were casted out, they looked at Jesus and they said, Jesus, man, how you gonna condemn us before our time? See, that shows that the devil is very concerned with the certain time, because he was given only a certain time to rule, 6,000 years to be exact. So he always keeps time. That's why those of us who are striving to be righteous got to keep time too. So he said to Jesus, man, how could you cast me out before time? You dead wrong for that, Jesus. This is in the scripture. I put it in the King LeBron James vernacular, but that's in the scripture. But check this out. I'm gonna show you why. The real reason. Now, subconsciously, see, there's a reason why lie detector tests are not admissible in court, because the human being can convince themselves of anything. You can kill 19 people and have in your white shirt that looks red because it's soaked in your victim's blood, and then get arrested and sit up there and say, I didn't hurt nobody. Because you can, if you tell yourself something enough times, and you in a certain mind state, you can really convince yourself and pass a lie detector test. So you might think, well, I wasn't really tripping off the first trial because, I ain't had no evidence. Dude had a whole VHS tape. That was the hottest mixtape in the streets when it came out. Come on, talk to me, man. Don't play me. Hey, technically I'm a millennial, but I ain't no baby. And I've been paying attention to things above my generation grade for years. I've been watching the news since I was 8. So you can't play me on world events. I know what was going on in the streets, man. We was passing that tape around like it was hot potato. That's another thing you got to ask yourself. If that was pedophilia on that tape, why did everybody have a copy? Why did everybody have a copy? I'm gonna tell you why you didn't trip off the first trial, NationTown family, and everybody else that's watching, that will have white permission that was not authorized because of what I'm about to show you right now. I'm about to show you a discography of a one Robert Kelly, otherwise known as R. Kelly. Discography meaning the albums or maxi singles that he released over the last 20 plus years. When you see it to the right of the actual album, you will see the peak performances on the charts of each album. For example, if it peaked at number 1, you'll see a number 1 on the side. If it peaked at number 3, you'll see a number 3 on the side. Pay attention. And the man made some beautiful music, and he made some catchy music and some good music. His talent, you can't argue the man's talent. We talking about all these versus matches. There ain't nobody that did a versus yet that can win a versus on R. Kelly, and that's just a fact. But let's look at this, because we're gonna prove how you needed the white man's permission and why he did not give it to you in the early 2000s but he giving it to you now. Top left, you see 12 play. To the right, you see their peak chart positions. 12 play peaked number 2. That column is for all of US. The column on the far right is for just R&B only. But the ones I have circled in red is for the US completely. That includes rock music, country music, all music. 12 play peaked at number 2. And that was in, pay attention to the years too. That came out November 9th, 1993. His second album, R. Kelly, came out in November 1990, I believe that's 4. Number 1 peak position. R, classic album. Classic. I believe that was double CD. Came out in 1996. Number 2 peak position. Number 1 on the R&B charts. Moving on. TP2.com. Released in 2000. This is around the time where his first trial was heating up. Number 1 on both charts. The best of both worlds. His collaboration with Jay-Z. They were the 2 hottest artists in the world at that time. I didn't say rap artists, R&B, in the world, Craig. In the world. Number 2 peak position. The Chocolate Factory, another classic. Number 1 on both charts. But pay attention. Pay attention. The numbers start to slide a little bit. Happy People, You Saved Me. Released in 2004. Peak position 2. Unfinished Business, peak position 1. That was in 2004 as well. TP3, Reloaded. 2005, number 1 in both charts. Uh-oh. Things starting to slip. He put out an untitled album. Number 4, the lowest of his career at that time. Love Letter, after that, in 2010. Number 6, a new low. After that, 2011, Write Me Back. Number 5. You looking shaky, Robert. After that, an album called Black Panties, number 4. But then most recently, check it out. Check it out. Check it out. The Buffet. I never even heard of this album. 16th. 12 Nights of Christmas. He put out a Christmas album. Wow, I didn't even know. This is his last album to date. 177th. Dear family, I hope you understand why I'm getting at. You received Peckerwood permission to condemn R. Kelly because they had no more use of him. They did him just like they did you on the plantations. They did him just like they doing you in the workforce. You the last hired and the first fired. Once they done used you up, they throw you away like a piece of toilet paper. They didn't give you permission in the early 2000s because they were still making money hand over fist off that man. Now he's broke and they are not getting anything. They bled him dry. They don't need him no more. Do you know one of the most common ways of murdering black people in the early 20th century? It wasn't even lynching by the classical sense, hanging them from trees, chasing them down, dragging them from behind trucks. It wasn't that. There were, in major cities like New York, Chicago, I read an article on this, New York, Chicago, Detroit, cities like that where black people flocked to in the early 20th century. When prostitution started to build, there was a major problem, and this is really how pimps got the power in the pimping industry that they have now and that they had in the 70s, because there were always pimps, but they didn't really have the power and the necessity that they later gained because white men, and if you read autobiography of Malcolm X, he kind of touches on this. White men would go to places like Harlem, pick up black prostitutes, treat them any kind of way, beat them, damn near kill them, cut them. You know how freaky white people are. Throw them a couple of dollars and then literally throw them out the car. And sometimes they would kill them and throw them in the garbage. Roll them up in some trash and throw them away, throw them in the river. Who gonna care about a dead black prostitute? That was a major issue back in the early 20th century. And now a lot of the 64,000 plus missing black women were alleged to have been prostitutes. And the reason people don't care because they just think, oh, don't nobody care. Because that's their MO, that's their nature. They use us up and throw us away. So you have Peckerwood permission now with R. Kelly because they have no more use for him. You have Peckerwood permission now with Bill Cosby because they have no more use for him. Even the baby's most recent music wasn't popping like it was. You know, he on the brink of looking like a kind of one album wonder. We'll see how that works out. But Bill Cosby, he wasn't making no shows no more. So they was like, okay, we can't get no more money out of him. Get him out of here. That's some mafia type stuff. So you didn't have Peckerwood approval in the early 2000s with the first case where they had video footage. Now all they had was a damn documentary. All they had was a documentary. They used a documentary to convict the man. Good God Almighty. But that's how you got Master's permission. That's how you got Master's permission. And that's also why my Master's permission theory is also why you only see certain protests of certain murdered black men and women. They all over the place. We get murdered all day, every day. That's also one of the reasons why we don't make a big fuss about black, so-called black on black crime. We don't have Peckerwood permission. We don't have Peckerwood standing next to us, beside us, protesting. So you know all about George Floyd, but who's talking about Kendrick Johnson? Young brother took his own shoes off and rolled himself up in the mat, and somehow that killed him. You see the hole, you looking at it right now. Could you crawl through that? I could. I know heavy set, out of shape people that can make their way out of that, but apparently for some reason, like a rat, he crawled up in that hole and just died. But you don't have permission to care about that. You only have authorization. You only got Master to sign off on George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and a couple of others. You don't have permission on him yet. Shout out to everybody chiming in. All praises due to Allah. We pretty much done as we like to do with each episode. We're going to end with the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I'm going to let the minister speak more directly on R. Kelly in a couple of different clips. Because I'm not really qualified. Because forgiveness is something that got to really come from a divine source. We all got a connection to the divine when it comes to asking for forgiveness for ourselves. But like I said, I believe in forgiveness based on principle and not Peckerwood approval. But we're going to hear from the minister on this. But shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Sister Yasiel says, you don't make those Jews money. That's right. They done with you. Out the door. Sister Tawana, paint yourself beautiful. Shut down. Family secrets hurt everybody. That's real. She said, oh, I have the cousin Ray Ray and the R. Kelly's lurk. I was a victim of a R. Kelly. That's real. Like the minister always says, man, if you talking to a crowd of 1,000 sisters, it will break your heart how many of them have had some situation where they were taken advantage of, not by no celebrity, not by no rap star, not by no famous comedian, but just people they trusted, man. And then if they, oh my God, our families are so broken that then if they speak up, don't let it be mama's boyfriend. Let's talk about the revolving door of stepdaddies in a lot of our households. Don't let it be mama's boyfriend. Now she sees competition because her daughter got the same body she had back in the day. She walking around young and supple. So she already low-key jealous of her daughter because she's thinking on an animalistic level herself. And then when the daughter comes and says, Mama, your boyfriend, he ain't what you think he is. He came up in my room last night. Oh, you just want my man. That videos on social media of fights between mothers and daughters over some raggedy Negro that really don't give a damn about either one of them. Let's talk about that. But see, again, we don't have permission to talk about it. We grown now. We grown as a people. We far removed from slavery, from chattel slavery. Let's do something about the mental slavery. All praises due to Allah. Sister said, stop playing hot potatoes. That's real. Passing around sex tapes and also passing around our sisters. All praises due to Allah. But we're going to close out by hearing from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want to thank everybody that chimed in and stuck it out with me again. I hope I wasn't on too long, but I'm going to leave you as I greeted you in the words of peace. Please stick around to hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as I leave you in those beloved words of peace of Ice. Salam alaikum.
To come forward and say, I did it. I'm wrong. Can you forgive me? I had a 4-hour talk with R. Kelly. Now listen, no. He came to our home with 6 of his friends. And I told him, R, I have had a message in my heart for you for over 20 years. And I'm so glad for the opportunity to share it with you. He was managed by a friend of mine. What's that brother? Barry Hankerson. And Barry told me I'm going to get rid of him. I said, Barry, be patient. I said, that boy is deeply spiritual. A man can't write no songs like that and not have God all up in him, but he's got to be cleansed. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of you in here have done something wrong, but you are not evil people. Somebody got to reach into you and bring out the God that's in you and clear you of your evil.
Of your life. May Allah bless, guide, and protect you. Yes. As you prepare for the next phase of your life.